Welcome to the meeting point. My name is IKEOGWU. In today's episode, we'll be looking at the topic Continuous Voter Registration, Role of National Orientation Agency, Inec in Mobilization of Voters. The Independent Electoral Commission has fixed 31st of July as the deadline for registration of eligible voters in Nigeria. Before the recent announcement on the deadline, we have witnessed unprecedented registration by Nigerians. So many have said the present economic situation in the country has motivated eligible voters to turn out en masse to ensure that they get their PVC to make the desired choice of who will lead them come 2023. Others have said that the awareness among Nigerians who have before now shown apathy towards elections have also contributed to the surge in the number of registrants towards the 2023 election. We have in the studio two gentlemen working for two critical agencies in the country. By my immediate left is Mr. BUKOLA Ojeme. He is the HOD, Voter Education and Publicity, Inec Delta State.
Good evening.
Ojeme, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
We also have the Acting Director, National Orientation Agency, Delta State, Mr. Chris Ayabine. Mr. Chris, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Inec, let me start with you. I know that you were here a few days ago where we talked about the national election. But today we are looking at how the response of eligible registrants in Delta State towards the surge to meet the deadline fixed by your agency. How has it been since the last announcement?
Well, we have continued to receive prospective registrants who desires to have their names and details enrolled in the voter register. Like you may have been aware, some few weeks back we began to experience a surge towards the end of the initially announced dates for the end of the exercise, that is June 30th. Well, I can say that the crowd is thinning out presently on account of the extension that the Commission had put in place, which is due to elapse on Sunday, July 31st, 2022.
Okay, when you came the other time, you said because of the surge that one of your offense, part of your offense was put down by
yes,
registrants
yes,
who were really, angling that the system was not moving fast.
Yes.
How were you able to cope that situation as at that time?
Well, what happened at the time is basically about how Nigerians tend to react to situations that ordinarily should not even arise in the first place, because we started this exercise since 2021 June, and typical of us, we want to wait for the last minute before we begin to show presence with regard to issues like this. Even NIMSI had occasion to experience what's happened the other time. But basically, we simply just retool our processes to ensure that particularly those who do not need to present themselves physically are helped to or taught what to do by using their phones, Android phones, in the comfort of their homes to carry out those services that are still available online, that is in the Commission's portal. And that has, in no small measure, helped to reduce the crowd that we witnessed a few weeks back that led to that disturbance that happened. But I can say now that the crowd is thinning, and even the crowd that come on a daily basis, we have been able to put strategy in place to make sure that there is orderliness and comportment as they come forward to register and access the services of the Commission with regard to the CVR.
We also learned that you have shut down the online registration.
That's not correct.
Okay.
Now, what the Commission suspended on 30th of June was the services for first-time registrants.
Okay.
And I is pertinent to state here that the surge you even saw were mostly for those who wanted to do transfer, who wanted to also replace lost or damaged PVCs, and who wanted to also update their voter records. But you know, typical of us, sometimes we want to join those who also come to do as first-time registrants, and we've been able to separate this various group of people and refer them to the portal where those services are still available. So we are saying, look, if you want to do transfer, if you desire to replace your damaged or lost PVC, and also if you want to access the services for transfer for voter update of voter records, you do not need to come to the Commission or registration center. All you need to do is, if you have an Android phone, in the comfort of your home, enter the portal and you access the services, and of course you go and print out your slip. That is what is required. So that has by this explanation and by taking advantage of this platform as yours, many Nigerians, particularly citizens in Delta, have been able to understand that not everyone that needs to access those services needs to come to the registration center.
So by what you have said now, the online registration is still on. Not for those who want to do transfer, for those who want to do correction of names. So for those who want to change location, or those who have lost their PVCs.
Yeah, the services are still available.
Yes. So the only one that is shut down
is the first time registration.
New registrants.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because if you don't say it, many may not understand what is happening there. Because that was my belief when I heard some people talking about that. Anyway, I'm coming to very very short.
No problem.
The issue is. I also encountered some people who said that's still finding it difficult to see the location of registration centers. What is INEC doing to ensure that they continue to popularize the centers for
the Commission presently has 73 registration centers, and what that means is that the centers have been devolved beyond the local government area to the ward level, and it is rotating around the wards. It simply means that if you pass by a particular point last week, for instance, it's not likely if you pass there today you find they may have moved. So people are encouraged to access information from the electoral officer. Go to the Inec LG offices, and you'll be able to find out from them where this location, because they are not static. They are basically mobile location because they are rotating around the wards. So if I give you locations for this week, for instance, it's possible that by the time we leave here, you probably might find that
limited to another place. Yeah.
So that accounts for why you can't have those kind of information at the state level.
The major thing is for those who want to register to ask questions.
Yes.
Where they can access those people.
Yes.
That's where the indigenous, the representative at the local level, government. I will come to that. Let me go to the NOA man. NOA, as we are made to understand, play a very critical role in the mobilization of Nigerians towards a particular agenda, and such as we have now, the election is a very critical one. I know that very soon they will be doing some census again, where your agency will play a very very critical role. What is NOA doing to ensure that Nigerians who are of voting age are registered?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator, once again. The mandate of the National Orientation Agency has been effectively set out for the agency, and that is to act as an enlightenment agency of government, to support government programs that are critical in changing society. So the NOA has a duty to create awareness on government policies, programs, and activities. And at the same time, to positively change attitudes, values, and behaviors of our people to ensure that we achieve our desired goals of socioeconomic development. Added to that, we also take feedback to government in the process of our engagement with the people to enable government make informed decisions or even review of its strategies and policies. To that very extent, our duties as regards the current continuous voters registration exercise has been on since the inception of the program. And our strategies are numerous and has to do with the mandate that we cover, that is engaging particularly with the people at the grassroots. We have a duty to reach out to those who cannot be reached by electronic media. So our strategies include face-to-face sensitization. We do street-to-street, we do motorized, we do advocacy to maybe population centers like the markets, churches, and what have you. We also do advocacies to leaders, influencers in communities to get them to buy into whatever program that government is handling at any particular time. Our need to mobilize favorable opinion for those policies are key so that the people can believe in those programs and actually begin to participate in them. For that of the current ongoing continuous voters registration exercise, the NOA Delta State Directorate has already commenced sensitization of our people using many of these strategies in addition to our engagement in the media, such as what we are having this evening, social media as well, where we have our various social media handles where we engage with the society. Now, we also have with this current continuous voters registration exercise, our presence in the 25 local government areas of Delta State is quite useful to engaging with our people, not only at the local government level, but at community levels. On the current continuous voters registration exercise, our officers are in the field. As we speak, even today, I was personally in the field to engage with our people in some of the communities to sensitize them on the updates regarding the continuous voters registration exercise, regarding the deadline, which has now been announced to be by Inec to be 31st July, and also to make them know that the offices are open even Saturdays and Sundays till the end of this exercise. So they should avail themselves of the opportunity to go there and register. Not only that, in the process, we also make effort to enable them know that there are expectations from society, from the people, because of the type of the system of government that we practice, which is democracy. It is participatory. It requires all of us to participate in the process, to make it meaningful, to enable us achieve the desired goal of electing leaders of our choice. So we have materials such as what I have here. These are some of our IEC materials that we use in engaging with our people. This is our stickers, and we use them to actually talk to our people, and we distribute them. We have our banners. I was out there today distributing these particular stickers, and then to let our people know that you can actually register and collect your PVCs and vote for leaders of your choice. Your vote counts. Do not sell your vote. Make the election peaceful. These are issues that have come up from previous campaigns, and we are asking them to, for instance, based on the information we receive from the election management body Inec, we are able to give information to the people that will assure them of the credibility of the process. Inec has now what they call Inec result viewing platforms, portals, with which wherever you are, once you can get into the platform, you can view the results of election. And it actually brings that trust for you to know that the election actually counts. And people are beginning to believe that. And if you notice, the apathy that we noticed with the process in the past is beginning to wane. And there is a lot of enthusiasm from across board, particularly the youths, wanting to be part of the process. And we believe that the system can only get better.
Okay. You talked about mobilizing debtors for participation in the registration. Yes. Debtors are of the view that your role has been taken over by the political parties, who now engages the community, yes, sensitizing them on the need, yes, to really come out and register.
Yes.
You said you are going to communities. Is it one-on-one campaign you are doing, or you have a public address system that you are using to announce to people? Because I've never encountered your men on the street.
Well, you can, the chance of perhaps maybe encountering them might be maybe difficult if you are not out there, for instance, in the market. Today I was at Ojeme market in Cable, and those who were there encountered our team. I was also at Okwe market. We are also at the market at the Oko junction to sensitize our people to be able to buy into this. The number of people that we need to engage with are broad, they are wide. The political parties are doing their best, but the political parties are doing their best, and because of that, there is also need for other agencies that government has statutorily set up to perform their role, to also play their part. And so that duty is what we are actually discharging. And the message that we sell is not from the angle of the political parties alone. We have our own message that has been designed by government to bring credibility to the system. For instance, we have message like, do not sell your vote. And that is neutral. Ensure that you participate in the process to elect leaders of your choice. Perhaps maybe political parties may actually campaign in line with their own mandates. But for us, as an agency of government, we have our job cut out for us. We have our duties set out for us to be able to deliver on actually what has been set out in our rules. Okay,
you said that you get feedback at times from the public. Yes. Can you share with us some of the feedbacks we've gotten from the public? Because as media practitioners, we also encounter them, and each time, like the question I threw at the Inec man here, were part of those things that we got from eligible registrants. Yeah. And what can you share with us some of the feedbacks we've gotten from people you encountered in the field?
Yes, I can just give you a hint from some of the feedback we received only today. A second team will be going out from the state headquarters here tomorrow, State Directorate of the National Orientation Agency, into the field. We have markets that have been set out for our campaign, that are markets for tomorrow. And we could cover as many as 10 of them here in the state headquarters, the state capital and environ. Our officers in the 25 local government areas are doing similar campaigns in their various local government areas and communities in their LGAs. The feedback that we have received are rich. For instance, during our outing today, there were people that we met who said that, for instance, they could not just leave their business to go out there to register, to join the queue and be registered, because they cannot afford to sacrifice the time. They want to remain with their businesses, and they were pleading that if the registration could be brought to such centers like the churches or even the markets in future. And that feedback we have been able to pass even to INEC today. And we have received some feedback from them. Inec also responded that they have been in some of those locations, but that the surge was so much that even their machines were almost going to be damaged. And so they had to pull back and move back to safer terrains. And for us, that is a very crucial feedback. But largely, we also noticed that there were people who were telling us that, yes, we have registered. We have registered. And that is also important to us. There is also another important information that needs to be also known by our people. That sometimes that there are lots of voters' cards lying there in INEC offices uncollected. And they are credited to our state as having been registered. But these people have not picked up their PVCs. They are lying there, and they are in thousands across the state. And there is need for us to continue this sensitization, to deepen the sensitization, to ensure that our people can have these cards in their hands to be able to participate in the electoral process. Otherwise, the system will not be able to yield the desired result of the participation of the people.
Well, Inec, though he partially answered the question I'm going to ask you now, yes. That since these are some of the feedbacks they got from the market women today, don't you think it is high time you take this registration closer to the market so that the people who may not have the time to go to places not close to them will have access to the machine to register?
Thank you. I think it's important to amplify the fact that in the first place, registration, even at the unit level, specifically provides that you register at your polling unit. Beyond that, it also says you could register, carry this exercise at the ward level. The State Director, NOA, just mentioned the fact that some of the feedback they got from the traders or the market men and women is to the fact that they do not want to leave their businesses. Democracy is about sacrifice. You can't say it's totally convenient for everybody involved in the efforts to bring as many people that are eligible into the national role of a voter register. We have had occasions to engage and interact with this group of persons, and some of the things we've had to emphasize is to let them know that they could decide to sacrifice an hour or two to go to wherever is closest to them to carry out this civic responsibility. And importantly too, we have noticed that in the markets where you have persons between the ages of 30 and above, most of them may have registered at one point or the other. And we have said, look, you have wards, you have children who are who are able to use Android phones. It's possible that you could enlist their help to help you access those services that for which you do not need to physically present yourself at any of the registration centers. That's what we have been doing. But for us to take our machines to those locations, in some instances we have had to do that, but specifically by the commission regulation, you carry out this exercise closest to at the polling unit level. So that's why when people say we are in churches, I say no, we are not in churches. You only find us at the closest polling unit to such location. Same thing goes for the markets. Market is a public place, of course, but ideally, as provided for by the regulations of the commission, we are to carry this exercise at the polling unit level. If you want to go beyond the ward level, well, would you, even if you are within the ward, you still need to identify the closest polling with which to locate that center for the time while you are there carrying out that exercise.
Okay, we talked about uncollected PVCs. You were able to understand that there are so many uncollected PVCs in your office, yes, and other your offices at the local level. Yes. From which year to which year are these PVCs? When were they registered, and how can the owners know that they have these PVCs in your office?
Thank you. In 2019, pre-2019 election, before the collection of PVC was suspended, we had 2.4 million PVCs collected by citizens. Of that, from 2.8 million voters. Then we now had additional 244,000 uncollected PVCs, and that was carried over to the ongoing nationwide continuous voter registration. Of course, anytime we are engaging, we usually make it known that as you want to register, you could also come to collect your PVCs, particularly those that had remained uncollected post 2019 election. Now, in early February, the Commission received 69,000 new PVCs, and those PVCs are those PVCs of those who registered or accessed the services of the Commission from June 2021 to December 2021. And in March, we collected additional 2,000. We received an additional 2,000 transfer PVCs. So basically, what you have, if you want to extrapolate, you bring in the 2,000 plus 9,000 plus the 244. So that's quite a number. But I also want to also share that the numbers have been reducing, but I cannot say it is reducing fast enough based on our expectation that people who register should ordinarily come and take their PVCs. So that in itself is a source of worry and concern for the Commission, because we do believe that if you've taken the pain to access these services, whether through the online portal to physically present yourself to register, that in itself is sacrifice, and there could not be any better reward for that sacrifice than to come and collect your PVC. So we are using this medium to also appeal to our citizens who have registered between June 2021 to December, and for which we have received 69,000 people to come forward and collect their PVCs. Then we are also appealing to those who pre-2019 registered for his voter registration. They should please come forward. Their PVCs are still lying in the state offices. Let me quickly add that we have heard people express fear about whether those PVCs are still available. It might be worthwhile to let viewers know that anytime the election season ends, these PVCs are retrieved and taken to the state office, from where it's transmitted to CBN for safekeeping. So we usually bring them out at the point where we begin the exercise of registration or collection of services. So they are safe. They are still in safe custody, and now they are out there and waiting for the owners to show up to collect them.
There's one question that bothered me on them. During the time we had one stakeholder meeting in your office, yes, about 2 months ago.
Yes.
A journalist, to be precise, said that he passed through here in the process of trying to collect the PVC, and at the end of the day, he could not. He had to abandon it. The reason is that some of your officials were allegedly looking for tip-off. Is it right for someone to park with money before he can collect the PVC?
Yeah, thank you very much. We keep receiving such information, and without one shred of proof that.
No, the journalist said he was affected. No, not that another person was involved. But he said,
the onus is on him to give us proof of such transaction. Because
no, he didn't pay because he didn't park with money, so nobody attended to him. He had to walk away.
But it's no, it is right to insist on being served, because having taken the pain to register, and as a journalist for that matter, and you find that a staff of the Commission is constituting a barrier for you to not to be able to exercise your due rights in that regard, I think the onus is on him, not just to walk away, but to see whether he could gather as much evidence as possible to help the Commission track such persons. But it's also important to say this: the Commission is not folding its arms with such malfeasance. You may wish to know that in this ongoing nationwide CVR like the previous, a couple of the commission staff have been disciplined. Some have been outrightly dismissed from work. Others have been demoted. So I want to emphasize that the commission's disciplinary mechanism is in place. It's unyielding. It's not compromising, and we demand of our staff the highest standard in giving service to our people.
Okay, I think we have to open up the line now so that people can make their contribution and ask questions where necessary. We have the number on your screen to call is 0807-843-4277. 0807-843-4277. The other number is 0812-106-9621. 0812-106-9621. If you have questions to ask, complaint to make, or suggestions on the way forward, you are free to call, and our people are here to give you answers, because we have had situations where people say I'm unable to register because of this, because of that. If you have issues bothering you that you want clarification, the Inec man is here, the NAO man is here to help us educate our people. Let's look at this. Hello? We lost it. So NOA, you help government to really push closer the policies and programs of government.
Yes.
Can you enlighten our viewing public?
Yes.
The role of the electorates in electional process? What I mean is before election, during and after election. Can you help us throw light on their roles?
Well, I will begin by saying that awareness creation is critical to the success of the electoral process. Without proper awareness, the process might not yield the desired result of producing leaders that we have chosen. On the issue of the role of the electorate, what we practice is democracy. It's a system of government we have chosen as a special purpose vehicle to serve our people, to ensure that our people receive good governance. And democracy has principles that demands us to actually participate in the process of electing leaders. In other words, there is need for our people to be sensitized on the need to be part of the process, to actually also participate in a credible manner that will enable us achieve the result of electing leaders of our choice. Similarly, the process of actually also bringing our people to know that there are some code of conduct in practicing democracy is necessary. The ethics that is necessary for us to imbibe in ensuring that we practice democracy the way it ought to be done. For instance, it would be wrong for us to practice democracy and engage in vote buying, for instance. Vote buying and vote selling is against the tenets of a democratic process. So there is need to sensitize our people along the line of attitudinal behavioral change and even value change. Positive attitudinal value and behavioral change that will enable us to get it right for our nation to attain that socio-economic development. So it is necessary for us to let our people know that we have to also invite some of that, such as ensuring that the process of election is peaceful. Because violence in the electoral process can shortchange the will of the people. In other words, we demand and appeal to our people that if we want to get the best out of democracy, there should be no violence in the process, so that the process will run seamlessly in delivering leaders of our choice. We also talk about issues of the votes actually now seem to count. Previously, during campaigns, like I mentioned earlier, you hear people say the votes don't count. But INEC has updated their game. As the election management body that it is, it has delivered a very credible system for you to verify the results of the election as they drop, as they collate. You can be in the comfort of your home through the INEC result viewing portal to see how the results are collated. So we are saying that the system is one that is already improving and it can only get better. And the electorate is now being sensitized to buy into this process, to be part of it, and to remain with it. Because as part of our mandate, we have a duty to mobilize favorable public opinion for government programs, particularly one that the people seem to want to buy into. Therefore, our duty is already being done, because we notice that there is a lot of awareness about this process. The other areas where there are hitches were mentioned, and we know that the process will improve gradually. And therefore, we would like to ask our people to use this opportunity that we have for the period of registration to come out, for those who have not registered, to come out and register. Those who have not collected their permanent voters card, they should please come out to collect their permanent voters cards. The citizen is seen as the electorate, is seen under a democracy as the highest office holder in the system. Because as a citizen of Nigeria, your permanent voters card confers on you the powers to elect those who will serve you as leaders. It confers on the citizens the power to vote and be voted for. And so we say that such days where the electorate are supposed to perform the important duty of choosing those who are appointed.
Let's take this call. Hello?
Yes.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Your name and location, please.
I'm coming from Asaran, sir. Please, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Where can somebody register?
Where can somebody register? Okay, INEC.
Well, since you are in Asaba, you can come to INEC State Head Office, NTA Road, or you could choose to go to Ojeme South INEC office, which is within the premises of Ojeme South Local Government Council office.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So, please continue.
Yes. I was saying that the citizen under a democracy occupies the highest office in the land, because our constitution grants the citizen the right to vote and be voted for. And the citizen has a right to use this voter's card to elect leaders into offices.
Let's also take this. Hello, your name and location, please.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah. Your name and location, please.
Yeah, my name is Lucky. I'm calling from IKEOGWU.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I want to ask about the voters card. If you are not indigenous of Hawaii or Delta State, you can also do the register. Because I want to vote for him.
You want to vote in the Delta here?
Yes.
Okay, INEC.
the qualification for registration does not in any way say you must come from the state you are resident. It says you must be 18 and above, that you must be resident in the place where you live currently for a number of years, and that you must not have, you must not be a convict, and you must be a Nigerian citizen. Those are what qualifies you to come forward to be registered. If you have this qualification, you don't have any encumbrances whatsoever that will debar you from coming forward to register. So if you are in data, you want to vote here, please take the opportunity that you have right now, walk into an Inec state head office, or you go to Ojeme South local government office, where we have an office there, and get registered.
Who's in Igbuzo?
Igbuzo is Ojeme North, right?
Yes.
Good. We also have an office, a local government office is there. It's in IKEOGWU.
Yeah.
But you could choose to come where is closer to you, might be Asaba here. So you can come over to our office, and by the way, I guess you need to also know that you can register anywhere and transfer and be able to vote anywhere you want to vote.
Yes. So, but before you come to Asaba, you ask them the word and unit close to you there so that they know how to put it there. Thank you. Hello, let's take this. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. Your name and location.
Okay, my name is Owa. I'm calling from Asaba.
Okay.
Yeah. My contribution is that what we do vote is the problem. The people that in that office that we are, sorry, not political, the people that are, the way they are doing us, the way they are challenging people, like say we are animal over there. You will even stand there, somebody from office somewhere will call. They will say, excuse me, let's so person enter. If you tell myself, I'm not registered, but I never received my business. So number one, when I go to all those workers over there, the way they are behaving, in fact, you go if you waste your time, waste your transport, you go feel annoyance and go back. Come today, come tomorrow. You understand? So please, let them control those people. Please, thank you.
All right, thank you. Inec.
Well, my response to that is simple. This is public service. And we have had very unpleasant occasions where even those with whom we want to serve fall short of the very minimum expected in comportment. That has been what has been very challenging for us, because the fact that this is a public office and that we are duty bound to serve you, we do also expect certain level of comfort. For instance, we find that people are beginning to be, they are mindful of the fact that every MDA since the advent of COVID has its own engagement protocol so as not to further exacerbate the spread of COVID. So sometimes we tell them, look, stay outside a bit, let the crowd thin out so that you have less human contact. Sometimes they get angry, and I can understand their frustration too, but they get angry and sometimes physically engage our security officials. And of course, where you find this kind of comportment, it does have a way of rubbing off on those who really are set to receive you with civility. We also beg the public that when they come for such services, they should also treat us with some level of civility. I guess that has been one of the issues we are grappling with. I can understand where he's coming from. Sometimes you find that you have very responsible people who come forward to want to, exercise their power. But you have people in their midst who are unruly, very rude, and sometimes willing to engage in fisticuffs with our officials. And that has made it very difficult for us to be able to control the crowd at times. Because when you tell them, stay in one position, no, they rather want to do what they want to do. And that's what that runs counter to our own COVID-19 protocol with regard to engaging the public, and sometimes to our own strategy in dealing with the crowd to ensure that the services we render and those who do the atmosphere is orderly. That has been one of the issues we've been dealing with.
So anyway, what is the place of your agency in terms of vote buying and vote trading?
Of course, our agency, the National Orientation Agency, takes a very strong view of vote buying, and we condemn it absolutely. In fact, the message has been vote according to your conscience. Do not compromise. Your vote is your power. We do not even encourage the seller nor the buyer, because the process of vote buying can also shortchange the will of the people and perhaps throw up the wrong candidates into leadership. Therefore, it is viewed seriously. However, we are beginning to see that maybe from the recent past that there is beginning to be a change of mind. People are beginning to look at the issue of governance seriously as they ought to. Because the case where there is people who sell their votes in order to get some little sums of money, it is something that disrupts the system and cannot contribute to the development of our nation. We know also that there are countries that have very rich history of democracy, such as the home of democracy, the American system. We know that things like this have happened in their past. But gradually the system improved. And so we are asking our people to change their attitudes, to change their behaviors towards vote buying, so that we can change our values altogether, positively, to a situation where people will come out and elect leaders of their choice according to their conscience. So that is the position of the NOA on that issue.
But Ojeme, before now, what Nigerians believe is that Inec is not, to be trusted, and that there won't be need for them to come out to, get their PVC. That at the end of the exercise, their vote may not count. But recently, we are beginning to see a new Inec. What is your agency doing to ensure that they build on this a kind of regain trust? We build on it because the experience of Ekiti and Osun State is gradually, making Nigeria to believe that Inec is born again. So what are you doing to ensure you build on the successes recorded in Osun and Ekiti State?
Thank you very much. I really need to emphasize that Inec has always been Inec. The issues that has been very worrisome has always been around perception of politicians and in fact our major stakeholders, that's the voters who form the electorates and of course the political parties, around how they perceive INEC back-end processes, particularly with regard to how we manage results and to the point of being able to say yes, the outcome can be said to be credible. But of course, I totally agree with you that in recent past, the Commission have done a couple of things. Some it has done in earlier, but there was no legal backing. But now, the new Electoral Act 2022 has provided legal safety or legal cover for the use of electronic devices. So that section 41, 47, 50 speaks to those areas with regard to accreditation and transmission of result. And most importantly, I also want to emphasize that in time past, both the political parties and INEC had enjoyed some level of discretion. And of course, in the use of discretion sometimes, even with the best intention, things could still go wrong. But now, the Act, for instance, has made very, very copious provisions available that has covered those areas where we are not duty bound to just follow what the law says. Take for instance the area of bribery and conspiracy that speaks to what happens between the voters and politicians or candidates, for instance. It simply says, look, the date from where election notice is published. For instance, since February 28, 2022, from that date to the time you conduct elections, your relationship with prospective candidates falls under the purview of that section of the Act. So if somebody comes to suddenly offer you Christmas gift, for instance, it could come under the searchlight of Section 121. It could be that you are being bribed, to conspire to vote or not to vote. Those are some of the provisions. Then Section 126 simply speaks to what you should do when you are within 300 meters within of any polling unit. Then 127 speaks of undue influence. So you find that some of these provisions is helping to strengthen behavioral pattern in the electionary process. But most importantly are the platforms that are now in place, put in place by the Commission to help strengthen the trust deficit that seems to have been there, to help bring about a trust surplus, if you like, between the Commission and its gamut of stakeholders. Osho election, unarguably points to what could happen when you have these platforms in place with the strong support of the Electoral Act in place. Simply, you are going to have stakeholders that believe in the transparency of the processes, because now they could follow the process in terms of result management, and of course they are able to see now that at the level of voting, the manner of accreditation has improved vastly, so if you ask me, beyond what used to happen with the smart card reader. So all those platforms, I think, are very welcome development, and I believe that going forward you have a more rosy relationship between the Commission and its gamut of stakeholders, because right now what used to be something that many people could not see, they are not able to see what happens at the back end of the Commission's plans and processes to deliver free, fair, inclusive and credible elections.
Okay. Many people are still not yet clear what is happening with regards to when parties should end kind of a substitution of candidates and their their deputies.
Thank you very much. Now, remember that the Electoral Act, I think in Section 84, Section 29, speaks to, says that 180 days to elections, political parties are expected to nominate their candidates. So if you begin to count backwards from February 2023, you are very likely to have noticed that from the dates we started having congresses to this present time, we are gradually inching towards that 180 days. By the Commission's schedule of activities, the Commission expects that by August 12th, all the substitution should have been done. But I want to let you know that the substitution for presidential candidates, House of Rep members and Senate have been done with. That's elapsed on July 15th, between July 15th and 17th. Now, the ones we need to deal with are the governorship candidates and that of House of Assembly's candidates. Of course, you are aware that from tomorrow, the Commission will begin to display the personal particulars of governorship candidates as well as House of Assembly candidates for the scrutiny of the Nigerian public. Should there be any issues they want to raise with regard to qualifications and all that. And we have put it out there that in line with the provisions of the Act, that by August 12th, if there's going to be any substitution, that should have been done with by that date. So that's what.
So by August 12th, no substitution, no substitution again.
No. So now, of course, except if somebody dies, for instance.
Okay.
There's a provision that deals with that in the Act and the processes as well.
So if no death occurred,
if no death,
that is the end.
Yes.
No, but somebody cannot withdraw anymore. If you
withdraw, you cannot withdraw. Well, even in withdrawal, because of the processes that has to do with when somebody willingly want to withdraw, the window will be closed. But if you choose to withdraw, you have to write your party, write to INEC that I want to withdraw as a governor. It means within 14 days you have to go back and organize fresh primaries.
Okay, from the name of that letter.
Exactly. So basically that is why perhaps because of the expenses involved, most political parties will work very hard to meet with those timelines that are provided for. Otherwise, if you wish to withdraw, the process itself is not really that easy. You need to formally write to the commission, you write to your party, then your party will now write to INEC. The INEC will now determine the veracity of those claims, and within 14 days of that notice, you now have to organize a fresh primaries for the people to come forward with a candidate.
So, maybe I didn't hear you well. You said INEC will be displaying the particulars of the governorship.
Yes, from tomorrow.
Aspirants and their deputies.
Deputies and of course the House of
As from tomorrow, where?
It will be happening from the Commission State Head Office and across the 25 FGAs in Delta State.
Okay.
Yes.
So Ayabine, the role you are playing is very, very critical. And I know that your agency cannot do it alone. What is the level of collaboration between you and the traditional institutions across the state?
Yes, of course, you rightly said, as you rightly said, the role of actually creating awareness about the electoral process is critical to the success of the process. And it is a role that demands for all hands to be on deck, all stakeholders in the Nigerian project, to join hands with the National Orientation Agency in supporting the election management body, INEC, to ensure that all of us come on board to midwife the process and ensure that we succeed with the electoral, with the process of the election. With regards to your question about our collaboration with the traditional institutions, we've paid advocacies to them over these issues. And as we speak, advocacies are still going on. We consider them influencers and leaders of their communities, and so we need their buying in into the project, into the campaigns that we carry out in the communities. And we need their blessings when we go out to sensitize our people, and we'll continue to show gratitude for their support for our various campaigns across the state. Like I just mentioned earlier, that the issue of creating awareness goes beyond simply the mandate of the NOA. We need to build partnership as a people to ensure that the electoral process delivers the best, becomes the best that we can have. One that is seamless in producing leaders of our choice, by eliminating things that will taint or even affect the spirit or the credibility of the outcome. We want families to be part of the process, to buy into our campaign by asking persons who have turned 18 and eligible to become voters, new registrants, to go out there as an obligation to our nation, to come out there to register and vote. We're also calling on our people to talk to others, their neighbors, co-workers, friends, to ensure that we all come out and be part of this process that comes up only once every 4 years, barring by-elections. Therefore, that is actually the period that we all need to set aside to be able to contribute to nation building. It is not the period of elections when we need to get our processes right, get our PVCs. It's not a time we can sacrifice for any other purpose, because that is the period we need to spend to bring out the leaders who will serve the interest of our nation. And therefore, we all need to commit to that process. We all need to be part of the process to ensure that we get it right. The NOA has a task to support every government agency that has a program in the front burner. And now, like you mentioned, Inec has a process, a duty to deliver election to our, a credible election to our people. And therefore, the NOA, by our mandate as an enlightenment organ of government, is there to support Inec in using our structures to get to our people, to the grassroots. And so we will continue to partner with other agencies, even civil society organizations and other institutions in the process of getting our people informed and to positively change their attitudes, values, and behaviors to ensuring that we get this process of election right.
Okay. Inec, there is this issue. Before now, court cases after primaries has to do with internal wrangling can drag as long as after the election and even after swearing in. What is the position of the law now?
Okay, first section 29(5) defines the category of persons that can challenge the outcome of party primaries. It simply says if you were not a participant, if you're not an aspirant, you cannot challenge it. You don't have locus to go to court. And we have seen that played out in a couple of cases where a lot of them that are in court are probably because they participated in those processes. What that has done, first of all, is that it has sanitized the process of litigation, because we have seen in time past a lot of what we call meddlesome interlopers, because they never participated, they are not even members of political parties, they just wake up overnight and take the process and challenge the process in court. But now the act has simply said, look, not everybody can go to court on an issue bordering on the outcome of primaries. Now, that said, there's also an understanding by the provisions of the act that within a political party, if an aspirant goes to court to challenge the outcome of a primary election within his party, perhaps challenging a candidate that has emerged, it is hoped that if that succeeds, if the challenge succeeds within the time before an election takes place, then naturally the person that comes second in that primary automatically takes over as provided by law as the candidate. But the moment an election takes place and for whatever reasons the court disqualifies a candidate who had contested, it simply means the party that comes, of course you know that after primaries, the candidate at some point assumes the personnel of people who can stand on their own. But once an election takes place, now a party affair. The law has since been very, very explicit on that elections are won by political parties. So it simply means that if for any reason a candidate is disqualified after an election, and it therefore means that the party that comes second automatically assume the office that is said to have been vacated by reason of a court judgment for that election. So basically that's I can't speak to that section, but I think there's a tie between the Constitution of the Federal Republic and of course the Act, Electoral Act 2022. Basically that is what the law says.
Okay. Well, anyway, from the eye of your agency and vis-a-vis the Nigerian Constitution and the electoral law, is it proper for Nigerians to anchor their campaign on religion and ethnicity?
Well, of course, from the eye of our own agency, we believe that if you take a look at the number of the political parties that are currently registered in Nigeria, there are quite a number of them. And the position has been that under a functioning democracy, there is freedom of choice. And if a party has been registered and it has its manifesto, it has its programs, it has its activities, these are the things that will inform the decisions of the people in making a choice of which party they will be going with. If a party has actually adopted a particular process, it could be the right of that particular party. And then the voters, the electorate, also have their own right to make their own choice. To that extent, the parties that are registered to actually pursue their own interests, their own agenda, and their own programs and activities, not regulated by any other MDA of government, but the field is open for the electorate, who have the final say in recruiting who will be the leaders that will serve them with their voters card. So to that very extent, I think I've been able to let you know the role that our agency, the way we perceive this kind of situation that you just talked about. So it still boils down on the people to make their own decision on whatever coloration of campaign, whatever ideas, whatever programs, whatever activities that they see around political parties that will inform their decisions in which party they will go with.
Okay, I think we're getting towards the end of this particular episode.
Yes.
Let me start with Ojeme. Your message to Nigerians with regards to issue relating to voter registration, collection of PVC, and their attitudes towards, the process of election.
Well, I like to encourage citizens in Delta and Nigerians at large to please take advantage of this ongoing nationwide voter registration exercise to make sure that they have their PVCs, and also make sure that for those who have already registered to collect their PVCs. And I need to quickly emphasize that notwithstanding that the exercise will stop on Sunday, July 31st, the collection of PVC will continue. So please, in case you are aware that the exercise is going to stop as has been announced, July 31st, 2022, it does not in any way mean that you go home and sleep. The commission doors are still open, particularly at the LGA offices. The state office does not issue PVCs. The PVCs are usually issued at the LGA office. So please take advantage of the ongoing exercise to make sure that you collect your PVC until such a time when the commission announces that collection of PVC stops. The law actually says registration stops 90 days to election. There's a section in the Act, Section 9, that speaks to that, but it does not say you cannot collect your PVC. That really could go on when the commission announces that it should stop. Like in 2019, I'm aware that it stopped a week before the general election. So I encourage citizens to please prime themselves, be ready. Inec is ready for you. Please also come out and engage the process.
So, Ayabine,
Yes.
your message to Deltans, Nigerians.
Yes, our message from the National Orientation Agency is what we describe as a call to action regarding the current registration and collection of permanent voters card. And our message is simple: vote for leaders of your choice. Your vote counts. Do not sell your vote. Make the election peaceful. And I dare add that we are encouraging our people to please join hands with the National Orientation Agency to get more of our people to participate in the electoral process.
Thank you very much. The topic is continuous voter registration, role of National Orientation Agency, Independent National Electoral Commission in mobilization of voters. And our discussants has been Mr. Chris Ayabine, Acting Director, National Orientation Agency, Delta State Bureau.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Delta State Directorate.
Yes, thank you.
So we also have a colleague in the pen profession before he divested into Inec, Mr. BUKOLA Ojeme. He is the HOD, Voter Education and Publicity, Inec Delta State. I want to thank you for making it to this program.
Thank you.
Please ensure you go there, register for your PVC, and let your PVC count, let your vote count on the day of the election. Vote the candidate of your choice. Shun vote buying, vote trading, violence, and other vices that may mar our election. Nigeria is in dire need of leaders who will take us out of where we are. And the onus lies on you and I to ensure that we play a role towards making the right decision of the leader that will speak for us. Make our roads worthy, quality education, quality healthcare, and other provisions that will make life worthy of living in Nigeria. My name is IKEOGWU. Join us same time tomorrow.